Hello, this is Matthew Robert Payne, and this is a video called Visiting Prince in Heaven. I took some time, it took some time to tune in to see his house. I first saw a living room with leather couches and a fireplace, and there was a number of couches and a number of fireplaces. It was a big room. Then I focused in again, and I saw a games room where there was three bowling alleys, 10-pin bowling alleys, and like snacks bar that you can get hot dogs and hamburgers and chips and fries and sodas, and there are a number, about 4 pool tables. So it's just a games room. It's got darts, and it's just a place for people to enjoy themselves, and enjoy themselves, relaxing in heaven. Um, uh, the games room has a large picture of Jesus on the cross, and you can't see the other crosses. You can only see Jesus' cross, and Jesus is naked on this photo, on this picture. Jesus was hung naked, and Jesus is naked on this photo, on this painting, and it's the most real picture I've ever seen. It's the most honest picture I've seen, and it's interesting that's hanging in the games room. So it's got a place where people can go and relax and let down their hair, and it's got the most serious picture of Jesus hanging on the cross that I've ever seen. In the foreground of the picture of the cross, it's got Mary, Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene, and John in a crowd of 3. John has got his arm around Mary, Jesus' mother, and Mary Magdalene is there too. And I imagine it's a portal that Prince goes through quite often, and it's a poignant picture. Yeah. I've never seen that before, and it's arresting. He's taken me up into his clothing room, and I see leather pants and jeans and shorts, and a whole rack of nice tailored shirts, and good uh, dress pants, and quite a number of shoes and sneakers and boots, and he loves his boots, and I've got to apologise. I've got a bad cough at the moment. So that's some parts of his house. You can imagine the games room is quite big. So was that living room with the number of fireplaces. Each of the fireplaces had a picture out of Jesus' life above them. And one of them, one of the fireplaces had the same picture that Whitney Houston had of Jesus praying on the mountaintop in the garden. The same picture that she had. That may have originated from one person, and people have seen it and requested that painting be painted for them. Prince agrees with me that he saw it in Mary Magdalene's house, and so that could be the source of the painting. So what are you doing in heaven? I'm playing music, Matthew. I really enjoy my music. I've really enjoyed growing as a Christian in heaven. It's so enjoyable to be away from the distractions of the world, and so good not to have pressures on you that come from money. You don't realize what bondage the world is in to money until you live in an environment where there's no money, there's no pressure to tour, there's no pressure for album sales, there's no pressure on you writing a hit. Everything is just given to you for free. In heaven, you've got to earn your way. You don't become number one in heaven's competitions each week by writing sloppy music. You've got to do a good job of your music. You can't fake worship music. You can't write a number one hit in heaven in worship unless you're intimate with Jesus, and it really sorts you out. My best worship music was 150, like Whitney Houston's. But recently I got one to be number 7, and I'm getting a whole lot better. The public find out the first 150 songs. That's why Whitney Houston and me have mentioned 150, because if you're in the top 150, the public find out that it was 148 or it was 132. And so they like to know that. But at 150, it cuts off. And 150 to 159 get listed as 150. So you can have 158, but be said to be 150. So they let an extra 10 songs in. So I was overjoyed when I got 150. And my other music on the contemporary chart have done well. I'm good at writing ballads about life and my experiences. And if you're having a challenge developing your relationship with Jesus, if there's challenges, blockages, and things that need to be healed or shifted in your life, you can write about those challenges in your music. And that'll get voted well because a lot of people are having those same challenges and they can relate. So my ballads tend to perform better. I've got a number one in the ballads, and I've got a couple of number twos and a few under five. So I've done particularly well in that side of the charts. But my 7 is the best in worship. And you may think, well, it's 7, it's not number 1, it's not in the top 5. You may be wondering, well, you haven't achieved the best. But I'm just overjoyed with 7. It's like it's the biggest miracle when that number came down. I was so overjoyed. Honestly, don't have to get number 5 or 4, 3, 2, or 1. My number 7 is more than I could experience. Ephesians 20 says, and he can do exceedingly and abundantly more than we ask or think. And that was my Ephesians 3:20 moment, getting 7. Michael has performed well, but Michael's a genius, and he's got a soft heart, and him and Jesus are really tight. But he was tight with Jesus before he came to heaven, and not all of us were fully out of the world when we came to heaven. So I write about my ongoing struggle with just the hurt that I had with the Christian church. The Christian church hurt me, and so I suppressed my faith a little bit on earth, but heaven is so full of encouragement and truly beautiful people. The environment of heaven just makes you a better person. And we'll go on to the next question. What do you like about heaven? As I was saying, the environment of heaven makes you into a better person. Everything is lifting you upwards. Like the competitions for a musician encourage you to write better, and perform better. And the contemporary song competition allows you to write about your feelings and write about your struggles, and you can perform fairly well on them, even with not such a strong Christian faith. You can still perform well, but you can't write a proper worship song unless you've got a Christian faith that's fairly advanced. And that pushes all the musicians into a place where they want to develop their relationship with Jesus. So you take on the hard subjects, and you take on the healing that you need to go through to achieve what you need to achieve. And I like that about heaven. It lifts you higher in your gifts. I could have never written the quality of music that I'm writing in heaven on earth. If I released my songs on earth, they'd really do well, but I'd be considered a Christian artist on earth, and they'd really perform well. I think heaven is just such a different place to earth. Having the bondage of money taken away just sets you free, sets your spirit to flight. It's like money is like shackles. It's like chains around you, and you can't move. And it's like someone came and cut all the chains off me, and now I've got total freedom, and I can take a year off and just study the word and go to lectures and learn things at theological college or Bible college. All of that helps towards my music, and it allows me to write better music. There's no pressure for me to perform, and that's an invaluable thing as a performer to experience, to be able to have success but no pressure. There's absolutely no pressure in heaven. I feel everyone on earth, especially musicians, are in a pressure cooker, and there's just so much pressure to perform and to be a success and to write hits and to perform well in concert. And I have wonderful concerts in heaven. Some people in heaven know my songs from earth, and sometimes I play my songs from earth in heaven. But the people of heaven love my heaven songs, and I dearly love them. A couple of my hits that got #1, the people really request that song and those songs. They really love them. They know all the words to the lyrics, and they sing along. I enjoy performing in heaven, and time can expand in heaven. You can spend a couple of hours in your time meeting fans at a concert, but it actually have been 2 weeks and having a good conversation with each of your fans, but it's only 2 hours in heaven time. But it's 2 weeks, so each of the fans got to meet you and ask you a couple of questions and give you a hug and get a selfie, and then they're able to leave. So it's all about people. It's all about love. It's all about lifting people up and encouraging people and helping people. And I never thought my music would be a healing quality to people. I'm having such a therapeutic effect on people's lives. And yeah, I've got a bar at the where they sell hot dogs where they have hot dogs and stuff at the bowling alley. You can get a beer there. And I just sort of tell you that sometimes I go bowling and have a couple of beers. And I don't have to be religious about it. I don't have to be protective of myself about it. Alcohol is fine in heaven, and it's not a vice. It's not a trap for people. The people of heaven have got no addictions. They like coffee, but they're not addicted to it. There's no smoking in heaven. People don't smoke, but people consume alcohol. I really enjoy mixing with my fans, and it's really handy that heaven can expand and shrink time. Um, those concerts with the meet and greets, I can do one of them a night, and yet if you did one of them a night and it took 2 weeks to meet all the fans, you could only do one every 2 weeks. But because heaven's time can expand, you can do it. And it's really a mystery that you may consider it a mystery until you're in heaven and you spend 2 hours with Jesus, and it ends up being 2 weeks, and you'll be totally blown away by it. Jesus is a very important part of my life. Matthew talks a lot about the portals and the paintings in people's houses. It's an actual form of worship. Going back to the garden where Jesus prays, meeting him early in the morning at the garden, with him praying 2,000 years ago for his day and how his day was going to go. I'm able to go back and encourage him and talk to him and talk about the effect he's had on my life, and then talk to him about his day and give him suggestions and talk about his life. And it's really amazing to get to know Jesus as a human, and that's why there's so many paintings in heaven, because people use them as portals to go back and communicate with Jesus and the Father. Those two paintings in Moses' house, with Moses getting the Ten Commandments and Moses meeting Jesus and Elijah, with Elijah and Moses meeting Jesus, and God speaking from heaven, those two paintings have had a big effect on people that Moses takes to his place and takes them back in the portal. So heaven is a wonderful place, and you've got to die to get in. No, you can learn to translate, you can learn to have visions of heaven and come and interact with heaven. You're welcome. You're welcome to join us. So what's your message for us? I'd encourage everyone listening to develop the ability to see with spiritual eyes and to encounter and have visions of heaven. And I'd encourage everyone listening to learn how to open your spiritual eyes and how to visit heaven. Matthew's got a service for that on his website. I'd encourage you to use that service and visit heaven for the first time and become used to visiting heaven and encountering saints. The atmosphere of heaven is just another atmosphere. It's just a great place to be. And we have only good things to say, and your life will be enriched through visits to heaven. It's only a service on Matthew's website because it's just paying for his time. And if he had the time to take everyone, he'd take everyone. But he just allots time for that with people. But if you pay for the service and you don't actually have the encounter, if you can't get your spiritual eyes open and you can't encounter heaven, then your money's refunded. But as we go through these books, take the time to look at the picture that we describe and imagine it in your mind. And you're actually in heaven watching the pictures. So take the effort to really look at the image and really look at the rooms that have been explained, and have the courage to say hello to us and introduce yourself. And maybe you can have an encounter before you pay for the service. I also encourage people to learn how to hear from God. Matthew's got a book on how to hear God's voice, and you can get that on Amazon. And I encourage you to learn how to hear from God and speak back and forth to God, because that'll be the talent that you need to have to speak to us saints, to be able to telepathically hear spirit to spirit. Our voices, it's got to come through clear and in an audible way. So it would be encouraging for you to learn how to hear God's voice and how to speak telepathically, so that you can commune with us saints and have an ability to learn from us and dialogue with us. We've all got your best intentions in our hearts, and we all want what's good for you. Um, and I hope you were encouraged by this message, and if you enjoyed this message and you thought it was one of your favorite messages, continue listening, continue reading the book, and go to Amazon and mention that you liked Prince's interview, and write that in your review among the other people that you like. And I'll read from heaven, and I'll pray for you. God bless.